Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going through the two-phase fat loss system, or at least we're going to try and condense everything down into two very distinct phases. And this is, I suppose, just going to try and simplify this for you as much as possible. It's going to give you one goal to attain, and then we're going to shift your mindset and then get you to attain a separate goal. And then we're going to cycle between these two goals. Now, yes, it's going to be very bulk and cut cycle orientated, but the thought process around this is going to be a bit different. Anyway, without further ado, let's get stuck straight into it. Number one, why should you listen to me? Because I've been a weight loss coach for over 15 years. I've helped literally hundreds, if not thousands of people over that time. And I've been very overweight myself, obese. I've been skinny fat, so to speak, not much muscle. And I've gone through very low calorie phases to get to sub 10% body fat whilst gaining muscle at the same time. I've done this for clients as well. So what we first need to do is we do need to get an idea of currently where are you in this cycle, right? What current body fat percentage are you? This is going to dictate the first phase, which is basically the fat loss phase. We just want to get as lean as we can, as fast as we can, which I'm going to give you some specific numbers in a moment. Now, for context, my recommendation for most men is basically get somewhere close to this. All right, 10%. Just set the number in your head. I want to be 10% body fat. You're probably going to need to lose a lot more weight than you think that you do. Now, for women, you definitely don't need to be anywhere near this lean. You're probably at risk of losing your menstrual cycle and things like that. But I prefer somewhere right in between here or closer to this 20%. Probably looking at maybe about 17 to 20% on the low end. So wherever you are, depending on where you're starting from, obviously if you're over here or you're over here, this from here to here could literally take you 1 to 2 years, right? Objective number one, obviously get you healthy, get you down to about 20%. For women, get down to at least 25%. But this is also going to start serving as like a cutoff for your health as well, which will make more sense in the moment. So based on how overweight you are, how fat you are currently, you have an optimal deficit. Now, you probably seen me talk about this before, but how aggressive or how low you can go in calories without losing muscle mass, because you're going to be eating a high protein diet and weight training. All right, we're doing that now. This is 2025. Is how fast you can lose the fat. Right now, for most people, you can diet fairly aggressively with really next to no muscle loss issues. Right. So for most people, you're going to be in at least a minimum of 30% deficit. If you came to me as a client, that's honestly the first thing I'm going to set is a 30% deficit, potentially higher, because most people I usually coach are somewhere around these ranges. Very rarely do I have someone come to me and they're already sub 15% or sub 25%. It does happen, but I'm usually dealing with a lot more people in these ranges. I can get you here, by the way. let's not discourage you in the fact, but most people are overweight, average, or more clinically between overweight to obese. So, what is the goal? Number one, get to very lean as fast as you can handle. So, for most people, that's going to be roughly 700, maybe even 1,000 calorie deficit per day. Now, yes, that's more than the 30% I'm going to recommend, but depending on your starting point, again, how aggressive you can go with your deficit is going to depend on how much body fat you carry. Arguably, we can go a bit more aggressive if we've got all of our boxes ticked too. So, your first phase, I don't care how long it takes, all right? If you care about aesthetics and you just want to be lean, you want to see some abs, you want to be looking pretty good by beach time, if that's your thing and that's something that you care about, men, we want to get you down to between 10 to 12% body fat. For women, you're going to be looking at somewhere between 17 to 20% body fat. So for women, you're probably going to be a bit leaner than this. You probably even might end up somewhere very close to this. Men, you will definitely have abs by this point, and you'll be looking pretty good. Like, you're leaner than most of the population at this point, by the way. Now, your goal for this duration is you diet as aggressively as you can handle. Now, you want your protein to be high, bare minimum 1.6 grams per kilogram of your target body weight. You could eat more than that, obviously, but no less than. There's some argument to be made for if you're going more aggressive and you're in the fat loss phase, you should probably be eating more. You can even aim for something like 2 grams per kilogram of your target body weight, but we'll talk more about that in a moment. And then you have one objective during this phase. You diet aggressively, you get the fat off as fast as you can, and your goal is to, at the bare minimum, maintain your strength during this phase. So my preferred method when I diet and I like to get my body fat down is I like to aggressive diet. So I just go somewhere in with about 1,000 calorie deficit, get the protein up, eat as minimal calories as I can get away with comfortably, and my volume drops way down. All right, so I'm talking like 2 sets per body part per session twice a week. So something like an upper lower split or a full body split a couple of times a week, right? For some people, especially if you're new to training, you can probably still gain strength during this phase. So even better, if you're maintaining strength, great, that means you are not losing muscle. If you are gaining strength, gaining a rep here or there over the course of that time, amazing. You are actually gaining muscle, at least past the 4-week phase. So once you get past the first 4 weeks of a new program, most of the neurological adaptations have taken place, so it's no longer just a coordination gain, it's actually muscle tissue. Now, is it going to be as much muscle tissue as if you're in a maintenance of bulk phase? Of course not, right? But our objective, right, is put the blinkers on, get lean, just rock it through, just dial it in, everything aside, punch through, get down to your healthy low waist target, which you probably will have seen me talk about in the past. Men, get to this number. Women, get to this number. Okay, you're going to look great. You're going to feel fantastic. You're going to be really happy with your results by then. Now, once you're there, the second phase to this, very simply, stay as weight stable as possible for as long as possible. My clientele and the way that I like to do things and who I coach, we don't have a problem gaining the weight back, right? If you go onto TikTok, Instagram, whatever social platform you're on, it's going to say eat in a 300 calorie surplus or eat in a 200 calorie surplus. If you have struggled with your weight and you've always been someone to gain weight fairly easily, you will never ever need to bulk, because your default habit, just you living your life by default, is a bulk, right? You're going to probably struggle just to keep your weight stable, right? So this is literally project number 2. Keep weight as stable as you can, eating at your maintenance calories, and obviously your new maintenance calories will be slightly less than your old maintenance calories, but nothing crazy, by the way. Depends on where you're starting from. So your focus should now be purely performance. So you can now increase your volume. I'd probably say somewhere around pretty good starting points, maybe about 10 sets per body part per week. Could do more if you wanted to. But your goal should be just moving more weights, more reps over time, trying to keep your weight steady whilst really just driving home the performance in the gym. Okay. If you do get too fat, so let's say you've just been a bit more lax with your nutrition than you'd like, this is where you want to set your stop losses, right? You need to have a specific number and or threshold. I like to use waist targets. You can use a weight on the scale. Men, do not let your body fat get above 15%. Probably helps if I can spell cut properly. Body fat cutoff is 15% for men. Do not let yourself get above this. I'd actually tighten this up a little bit, but 15%, that's it. Game on, back into a deficit. For women, I'd probably set that at about 25%. Now, within my programs, how I coach people, you'll have very specific waist targets. So once your waist reaches this number again, that's it. You're back in a deficit. But if you're doing everything correctly, this could take you 6 months to a year, right? If you're really tracking your food still after your diet's finished, you're being really meticulous about your protein and veggies and things like that. There's strategies to help you adhere to your plan and have off days and things like that and still be social. But it should be a matter of diet hard, get the fat off the body, maintain your strength, and then when you're back at maintenance calories, push the performance, and you'll probably find by default, just by trying to stay at maintenance calories, you're probably going to start gaining a bit of fat and weight over time. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I've had clients where they've started to gain weight over the course of like 2 months. They might gain a kilo, kilo and a half, maybe even 2 kilos over like 4 months. but their waist is very, very much the same as where we left off. Now, to give you some context, if we can show you the drawing here. So let's wrap this up with a pretty picture. So you've got your starting body fat percentage up here. This is your 10% body fat percentage down here. So we are literally trying to diet you down as fast and aggressively as we can, as fast as you can handle, okay? Once you're here, we want to maintain this for as long as possible, and then you're going to find it's probably going to start to creep up very, very slowly over time, okay? Now, this here, this point here, this is your 15% cutoff, all right? When you hit this, we diet again, we aggressive cut, get the fat off fast. Now, in terms of training, this is your starting body fat percentage. So your training performance should be somewhere, let's say you're starting over here. We're maintaining strength, although you might find you get a little bit of strength bump here or there, all right, during this cut phase. It'll probably be something like this, right? Great. Once you transition and you get to the point where you're at the low end of the body fat range, let's say your strength takes a little bit of a dip towards the end. Now, from here, your calories get bumped back up. So, boom, back up to maintenance calories. Now, performance is going to start heading up like this because you've got more fuel in the tank, more energy, right? Now, once you get back to this point, right, so let's say your strength is all the way up here. Let's say you've added 50 kilos to your bench press, whatever it is, right? Now, when you hit this cut again, the idea is to drop the volume, and we're just going to maintain the peak performance at this point, all right? And then you rinse and repeat. So once you go through this whole process again, you cut hard, and then from here, you maintain strength. When you increase back to maintenance, you start increasing in terms of weight training and volume again, all right? And we just repeat that cycle. That is it for the rest of your life. The idea is to get lean once, maintain that level of leanness. Once you've maintained it, build as much strength and physique shape as you possibly can whilst eating as close to maintenance calories as you can without getting too fat. Have your stop losses in place. Once you cross a certain threshold, whatever that number is in your head, don't let it get too far out of the way, right? 15% for men, 25% for women at the highest, right? On the high side. Drop the hammer, mini aggressive cut. You've only got to do it for maybe 3, 4, 5 weeks at most. Depends how bad you let things get. Maintain all strength during that time, and then pick it back up. And it's much easier to diet off a couple of kilos at a time than it is to come up in swings of 10, 15, 20 kilos. And that pretty much sums up the 2 phases to your overall program, guys. Now, if you have any questions, pop them in the comments below. If you want me to do this for you, I do this for a living, all right? You can contact me anywhere, Instagram, email address, there'll be links in the description below. Whether you're a male or female, I work with both. I just generally tend to work with more women, just because it's more of a weight loss industry. But the guys who I train get fantastic results. So if you need help, you're unsure about something, any general questions, if you want me to cover more videos, more topics, post them in the comments below. And if it's a good topic, I'll make a video on it. That's all. Alright guys, hope you found this helpful. Hopefully this clears your mindset in terms of this 2 distinct phases. Stop getting caught up in shiny object syndrome. If the scale and measurements are going down, whatever you're doing is great. Keep doing your thing. If the strength is going up over time, keep doing your thing. Do not change what is not broken, okay? And if those things aren't happening, you need to fix something. And that's where I come into this, alright? That is all. Talk to you guys soon. Have a good day.